Farris here to tell you about.
Yeah. So I know I'm sort of keeping us from eating, so I'm going to try and be hasty about this, but hopefully bestow some good information. Before we begin, I'd like you all to indulge me in a little experiment. We're going to do a little bit of starfish action, get the juices flowing. We've had some fantastic lectures so far today, and I think we're going to come up, a little higher level here and do a sort of 10,000-foot view of the microbiome and how we can leverage it for peak performance. So thank you very much. A little bit about myself. I'm a bit of a journeyman. We've had some hard science speakers today. I've been, a few different places myself, military, aspiring sustainability professional for a while until I found myself at Genentech. Doing sustainability work, and I was like, ooh, I like that biotech stuff. I think I'm going to do that. Ended up pivoting over to uBiome, and was so intrigued by the work I was doing there that I decided to go back to school. I'll be starting in a couple weeks. So, my Twitter handle. Anyways, okay. So probably a good place to begin is the human microbiome. Why it's important. Molly touched on it a little bit, and sort of articulated how it interfaces with our genes and everything like that to affect and lever our health. So I guess a good place to start is the Human Microbiome Project. Started in 2008. Was sort of set out to measure healthy microbiome and disease microbiome and just sort of get a sense of the functions of these different bacteria and everything like that. Inspired very much by the Human Genome Project, which was a huge success. While Human Microbiome Project had a lot of really great successes, it ended up concluding in 2012, which is pretty much where uBiome picked up and took the baton and ran with it. But first of all, why is the human microbiome important? This might be old news to a lot of you here, but each of us are estimated to be comprised of about 10 trillion human cells. That's a lot, right? Well, simultaneously, you're comprised of about 100 trillion bacteria, okay? And these bacteria live in many of the major systems of our body, from our digestive system, our immune system, all the way up to our endocrine system, governing things like oxytocin, serotonin, and cortisol levels, right? So very much affecting our psychology. We have co-evolved with these bacteria since our earliest ancestors, and they are essential to our life, absolutely. And I think that the critical takeaway here for why the microbiome is absolutely important is because the more we know the functions of the various bacteria that live in our body, the more we can use them as levers to affect our health more broadly. So uBiome, let's give a little bit of a sense of what we do at uBiome. Our primary value proposition is that we utilize citizen science to collect and interpret big data from bacteria. Okay, we have the world's largest private microbiome collection, and we have world-class bioinformaticians and molecular biologists who are working in collaboration to yield all kinds of fascinating information. So the way that we do this is very similar to 23andMe, which has already been mentioned, is we will send you a kit, you will swab yourself, and you will send it back to us. We will analyze it for you and send you information that includes what types of bacteria are in your gut, ratios of that bacteria, sort of the diversity of bacteria that you have in certain terms of percentile, and how you compare to the broader population. And if you're a repeat customer, you can sort of compare how your microbiome changes, because that's a key component of this as well, right, is that this is really a snapshot in time. And your microbiome is a very dynamic sixth vital organ of your body, and how you intentionally or unintentionally cultivate it will change over time. And it's not just diet, right? It's a whole host of other external forces that sort of affect it as well. So I have a few reputable institutions up here, simply to sort of say, like, we partner with academic institutions to do research and studies. We have a current partnership with the CDC right now to explore hospital-borne illnesses, and of course we have a very distinguished advisory board that includes personnel from 23andMe and Singularity University. I thought it was worth paying them a little lip service. So. Probably a little bit too basic for the audience that we have here tonight, but just as a primer for seeding and cultivating and maintaining your microbiome, we have sort of the classic probiotic-prebiotic split. Probiotics being a bacteria-laden foodstuffs that include yogurt, kefir, kombucha, etc., that are introducing new bacteria into your body and promoting health in that capacity. Whereas prebiotics are more facilitators of digestion and sort of create an attractive space for various bacteria to live and thrive. So just a smattering of different pre and probiotics that you can find. Again, why is this important? Why, examining the ecosystem within gives us an opportunity to sort of get an indicator of your general state of health. And certainly the more that we learn about the microbiome, the more that this statement becomes true. And so just to give you a sense of like a benefit that you can glean, an insight that you can glean about your microbiome today is sort of the Bacteroidetes Firmicutes split. All right, these are the two most prominent bacteria that are found in your gut right now for most people. And, a high Bacteroidetes has a high correlation to optimal health and general thinness, right? Whereas Firmicutes does a much better job of taking the food that you consume, transferring it into calories and storing it as fat. So if we were to take a snapshot and just look at a person's sample results, and we saw, a high, percentage of Bacteroidetes, we could infer from that they are probably a thin, athletic, and relatively healthy individual. This sort of interpretation, please feel free to extrapolate it out across a myriad of other health related issues, and that's like the promise of the microbiome, and one of the reasons we get so excited about it. So another key sort of facet of the microbiome and another indicator of the power of the microbiome comes from poop transfers, also known as the fecal matter transplant, basically identifying a healthy microbiome host and transplanting their fecal matter into another. That's a very sort of odd thought for a lot of people, for the uninitiated, but we actually have a couple of conditions that have been clinically proven to be alleviated by this practice, and that's Clostridium difficile, C. diff, and Crohn's are two that have been clinically proven. And we have, as I mentioned before, so we have these bacteria that exist in our endocrine system, and sure enough, chronic fatigue and depression have also been alleviated by this practice, simply by changing the bacteria that exist in your gut. So pretty remarkable when you think about it in those terms in my mind. So basically, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up with that and say, you can't manage what you don't measure, right? The more that we learn about the bugs that live in and on us, the more we're able to get a general sense of how to optimize our health and our achieve peak performance. So with that, thank you very much.
So on your slide where you were talking about fecal matter transplants.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing that you could cure anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
Through a fecal matter transplant, through a poop swab.
Yeah.
Is that all types of anxiety? All types of depression?
I'm not sure exactly, like the different classifications that can be treated or not by this, but and I'm certainly not the expert who can sort of parse that out. But I will say, this is some research and anecdotal evidence that has suggested this. But the only two clinical trials that have been done is the more physical and on the gut side. But yeah, I do believe that if they're related to bacteria and can be tied to things like that, then eventually we're going to figure it out. So yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Have you done any studies with FMT, particularly with people before and after? Because I know one of the big studies for Crohn's with FMT, right? There was like one particular donor that cured most of the people. So have you been able to see any of that or plan?
Yeah, I think the only thing I am aware of, and when it comes to real quick, have we done any of those
Yeah,
studies?
we're working in partnership with Biome, which
Yeah,
is
right.
the bank in the country, and you can actually get paid a lot of money to. So we're studying with them people before and after fecal microbiome transplant who have C. diff infections. See what difference we find.
Yeah, it's a bank.
There's some people that I don't recommend this, but I did meet one guy who described in great detail the DIY version of it.
Turkey baster.
Splendor.
Yeah.
This is like it's like getting an organ transplant. Honestly, your microbiome, it's like literally an organ transplant.
Yeah.
So I just did a quick PubMed review, and there's just as many articles showing like bacteremia from like someone had terrible Crohn's and had Clostridium difficile, and then they got a quick transplant and they got sicker. So like we don't really like this is not a panacea. This is very early science, and it's huge promise.
Yeah.
But it's like I wouldn't want an organ transplant from my
Sure.
neighbor.
Well, and that's the thing. I think finding a suitable donor is like one of the biggest challenges too, right?
So Open Biome is very careful screening.
Yeah.
I would definitely contact them if you have any questions.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
So the traditional equipment is the breast milk helping fluid shipment. That's the scientific one on breast.
Go get
I
what?
was just joking.
Yeah.
I actually in Wired magazine, for example, they not just for humans, but for monkeys, they're doing this kind of transfer. So, I mean, really, where does this stop? Like, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's such a frontier industry right now that any knowledge that can be gained, and obviously there's a lot of the same processes that are being done in mice as well. I think psychology, all these things are being affected by these studies. I'm not sure. I think you take it as far as you can go ethically, personally, but.
the complexity being so big, is it like causation or correlation, right? So, if you're saying, like, you don't really know what you're dealing with here, so you see some effect, but you know, like, what are you saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's I think generating sort of scientifically integral studies sort of feed that. I mean you can infer a lot, and I think it's probably dangerous to sort of take this to the bank as it currently stands, right? But if you are using sort of a scientific baseline to pursue this research and develop your understanding, I think you take it as far as you can.
But the food is very complex. I mean, like, we just discussed the nutrition and stuff, it's complex, and everybody believes they know what they're doing.
Sure.
Like, they don't. But here we are talking about the 100 trillion things.
Yeah.
Experimenting with that.
Yeah, well, it's 100 trillion bacteria, but I think that it's an estimated roughly 30,000 species, in different. And so, like the bacteria in your mouth represent as different an ecosystem of bacteria as the bacteria in your gut as like the Arctic tundra is from the Amazon rainforest, right? So, I mean, each ecosystem has. Obviously, it's huge data, right? We're talking in terms of numbers and that range in such large amounts that there's a lot to learn still. But metadata analysis is sort of a pretty powerful tool, and I think that the more that we can collect and the more that we can parse, the better off we are. Yeah.
So looking at my data, do you give any recommendations like what kind of probiotics might be good for me?
I think slowly but surely that's the end game. We'd like to get there. I think what we're doing now is sort of giving you the framework to facilitate research on your end. We're not at the point yet where we're making recommendations, but I think eventually, once our understanding of the bacteria and the functions of those bacteria becomes stronger, we'll be able to do that. Yeah.
And also, what's your take on soil-based probiotics?
I personally don't have a take, but I will defer to Alexandra to make sure she doesn't have one. Yeah.
I think that probiotics are still not incredibly well understood.
Yeah.
So it's very new science, and we're doing a study on probiotics actually. So asking people which probiotics they're taking and tracking them over time, so we can start to learn the answers to questions.
Yeah.
Have you guys done any work on like a self-transplant? Like you make deposits before, like of course antibiotics, and then
Oh, yeah.
It's clever.
Oh, I
yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Reserved for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really. I'm sure you're gonna be, yeah. Citizen scientists right here. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's good insight.
So where does all this bacteria first come from? Like when you're born, presumably you're mostly human.
Yeah.
And like how does like
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with a famous microbiologist named Rob Knight, but he's talks a lot about the microbiome, and he was one of the sort of core contributors to the Human Microbiome Project too. And he actually talks about how when his daughter was born from a largely believed to be sterile environment in his wife's womb, that he actually took the vaginal canal fluids and coated his daughter in it because he was so convinced that first initial transfer was so critical to sort of setting the stage for human health. But then, of course, the mother's breast milk then, starts to nourish the baby with both of the bacteria as well, including a very critical one called Akkermansia, which really is a lot. A lot has yet to be understood about it, but it's indicating to be one of the most sort of prominent in terms of denoting human health. So yeah, I mean, as soon as you come out of your mother's womb, essentially your exposure to that bacteria and your interaction with it begins. So yeah.
Just to comment on that, in modern times they give enemas to women before they give birth, but historically they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So historically you had a fecal transfer to the child, right, from the mother.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Just to add to that, at birth, I think there has been a study with people who have been born of C-sections have not had the bacteria that they would have had going through the birth canal, which has been, it's kind of scary to think about that.
Yeah.
Which is why some doctors,
Right.
some pediatricians will actually coat the baby.
Yeah, exactly.
The C-section baby to kind of try to.
Right. But that's not my question. I was just. What's that?
During delivery, if mom is high risk and she's doing a C-section, they have a sponge that they put inside of her, they pull it out and they use that to let the baby down.
Sure. Now, your goal is to be able to map the world's microbiome, right? And you're asking everyone a bunch of questions about how their health is in general. So that way you could say, well, okay, if you are a generally healthy person, this is what your microbiome could look like.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not checking for yeast in feces, right? You're not checking for fat in feces or parasites. So do you feel that it's possible that some of these answers could be off because people may have yeast or parasites or other issues going on that could be tested with their stool, but it's not being tested yet?
Well, I think the more data points you have, right, the better your conclusion will be. And I think certainly, to the extent possible, our goal is to be able to screen for everything, right? And we're pushing the boundaries of the knowledge that we have and the data points that we have available to us, and eventually I'm sure we'll be able to to speak more conclusively to that. But I mean, certainly if you don't have the complete picture, then you can't draw a complete conclusion, I think. So I think that's a safe assumption.
Any other questions, guys?
I think it would be difficult to have something.
It certainly, as I live and breathe right this moment, absolutely. And I think we're moving closer and closer to a better picture every day. So, yeah.
Okay. Farris, I want to keep you up here just for one more minute because what I want to do is do the giveaway for Y Athletics, and they want to give away a T-shirt and 2 pairs of socks. So the reason I have you up here is so that way I'm not biased. I want to give you the attendee list,
Okay.
or the RSVP list, and I want you to call off 3 people,
Okay.
and let them know whether they're going to win either the socks or the T-shirt.
Okay. I'm just gonna swipe.
All right.
Cedric L. Okay. Well, how about AJ?
Right here.
All right.
All right. What is he winning?
Do
It's you. It's either a T-shirt or 2 pairs of socks. But we each. Yeah.
We'll save the T-shirt for last. Sorry, man. I'm getting some socks.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
How about Pamela M? Wow. Wow.
Is it a male or a female T-shirt? If it's a male.
No, it's up to you. I'm gonna give you a promo code. You just have to email me, and you'll be able to redeem it online. So whatever size, color you want.
Okay.
So what is she winning?
Socks.
Socks. Okay. All right.
And finally, Lincoln. Okay. Shirt for you.
Okay.
There it is.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that concludes our presentation. This is the type of stuff that I've been really fascinated with, especially over the last year, where I really want to improve my own health, and I'm sure that a lot of people here also want to do the same. In order to get better, we have to be able to quantify what's wrong. So I hope that you've been able to get some stuff out of today's presentations, and feel free to contact the companies that have been able to present, and maybe you'll be able to use them. Oh, you know what? You guys have a discount as well.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's 25% off using Peak 25 as a promo code. And I'll write that down.
It's right there.
Oh.
There it is.
Okay.
What's
All right.
the price of the kit?
$89 full price. So.
Yeah. Travis, what's up, man?
Is there a video that you did?
Oh yeah, I'd like to be able to place this up online, and if anyone has any suggestions where the best place to post this would be, I mean YouTube is obvious, but then where do you then market it to be able to have a lot of people be able to see it? Yeah, I plan to do that, absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And what we're going to have now is food from Mealmade. So Mealmade has been able to put together meals for us that are paleo friendly. I'm a glutard, so I can't eat gluten, and so their food typically is gluten free, as per paleo standards. So guys, the food is in the back, right where Jeff is standing. He's ready to serve us. And
also created a code for this group.
Oh, that's right.
So some of you have the card. It's the code is peak per pound for 15% off every order every month on Mealmade.com. And thanks to our teams together, thank you to the speakers. We're obsessed with a lot of what they talked about, and created Biome because we got all these recommendations, and then the only way to actually eat the food was to So we put on the menu tonight and every night on Biome tonight we have a primavera salad with a vinaigrette made from organic olive oil and lemon juice with salt, pepper, and honey. And then we have pasture-raised chicken with bone broth reduction, a little bit of thyme. And over on this side we have a white rice and potato flour crisp fried in organic coconut oil, wild caught tuna, and
how awesome is that? Thank you. All right, I appreciate everybody coming out. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Good. How are you? Yeah.
And make sure you send me an email so that way I can get your gift.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
So, have you decided on what day you want to typically do this on?
I don't know, because a lot of people, no matter what day of the week they say that I want to put it on, people are like, oh, you have it on that day. Well, I can't really make it that day.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just going to stagger it.
Yeah, cool.
But I'd like to have it once a month, basically like the second week of each month. What's your email? Okay, so George at SF.